Hi, this is Steve from Adisa, and welcome to the latest ITAD in 15. I'm joined by Anders of Novitio. Good morning, Anders.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I really
Fantastic.
appreciate the invitation.
Well, we have Alex Baker to thank, and I'm always intrigued when somebody I've known in the industry for a long time says, "You've got to speak to this guy." We first chatted, I think, before Christmas because I'd not heard of your organization and your business, and I was really impressed with what you're trying to do. So, for those people who may be unfamiliar with you and with Novitio, just give us a
Mhm.
quick introduction, please.
Yeah, well, my name is Anders Bech Jensen. I'm the co-founder and chief operating officer of Novitio. I'm a former value-added reseller, selling the new equipment to all sorts of large organizations in Denmark. I'm also a former ITAD sales responsible and a former broker. I really have a passion for efficiency and compliance and digitalization. So that's basically about me. Novitio is a purpose-built digital ecosystem for ITADs or resellers with brokers and professional buyers in the secondary IT market. Our focus is very simple. It's structuring sales. It's creating traceability. It's enabling compliance, and it's making sure that ITADs can sell smarter, not just harder.
I think let's explore this because we've clearly spoken a few times now, and we'll come onto the platform and do a demo a little bit later. Let's frame the problem, if we may.
Mhm.
Um, and it's interesting that you talked that you're a value-added reseller because I've often talked about the ITAD world and reverse logistics to be another type of channel, but one which is perhaps unstructured and a little bit immature at this point in time.
Mhm.
What we're seeing in the channel, if you like, the ITAD channel, is price setting and valuation of equipment being a challenge, and also transparency, especially where there's residual value being shared with the client.
Mhm.
So is the problem that your platform's trying to solve about that transparency of the executive valuation of equipment? Is that what we're trying to talk about here?
Yes, and other things as well. So the problem that we saw was, well, Novitio was built because we saw a structural gap in the ITAD market. The ITADs are extremely strong operationally, so excellent at logistics, data erasure, grading, uh, sometimes even refurbishment and compliance audits. But when it comes to the selling of the equipment, the process is still like surprisingly manual. Deals are often handled via, Excel files or just a text in an email or WhatsApp threads, phone calls, etc. And pricing isn't always registered like line by line. It's just a batch price. And bid history is not stored, structurally. So the buyer's, engagement isn't measurable. You're not registering or registering who is actually contributing to us with pricing. Are they only submitting a price whenever it suits them and it's not, anyway? So and the most important part is actually that sales data lives inside, the individual salespeople's outlook, or typically, and not inside the company. So it's more on the individual and not the company, and that creates a risk. It creates inefficiency, and it makes, audits, alignments harder than it actually needs to be. So from a compliance and an audit perspective, especially in environments, aligned with, let's say, the ADISA principles, uh, you know, um, we need, or we all need traceability. We need fairness, and we need the documentation. So what we build is essentially, a structured digital sales layer on top of the existing ITAD operations, if that
And
makes sense.
Well, it does, and I think what we'll do now is we were going to do the demo a little bit later, but I think what we want to do is let's bring the platform to life for those watching, because I think we've talked about the problem that we're trying to solve, Let's just step into the software for a short spell, and so you can talk through some of the actual processes involved that you can able to help automate. So let's have a look at the
Yeah.
platform.
Basically, this is the platform. We've tried to keep it very simple, very smooth, very user-friendly. We've really spent a lot of time and effort in keeping it simple. So basically, where we are here, we have, of course, some settings, some support center with guidelines and documentation, etc. But basically, what I want to show is how to create a listing. So I have a batch of equipment which is already data wiped, sanitized, and now we need to sell it, and we need to document how we sell it and who gets the deal. So basically, what we're going to do is create a listing. Now, what you will see in my screen is that some of the information is already filled in. And this is a part of the default settings that you can do as a ITAD seller. So basically, there's some key structures like customer number, sales order number, or whatever. This is an internal node, basically. So all we need to do is we're usually handling devices. It can be preset. I can change it as well if it's not devices that we're doing this time. But let's go with the device laptops. I have a batch of laptops from Lenovo. I can add more if it's a mixed list. I can actually also add if there's some desktops in the same batch, but let's keep it clean now. Now, I've already preset, the asset pickup location, and that's because the buyer is arranging and calculating for the pickup as well. The seller is not involved in that process. They just need to release the equipment whenever the deal is done, payment is done, and everything is cleared. Now, this is the first step. Second step is some terms. And basically, it's when is the availability date, the deadline, how long time does the buyers in our ecosystem have to submit their price, and how long time should the bid be valid? And I'm going to tell you why that's important as well. Of course, something about payment terms and if there are any purchaser or restraints, like, okay, we only want to have buyers from Europe, or if that's not applicable, then hey, it's available for everybody to buy. We have a public and a private feature. I'm just going to show the public one now, and basically that is the full ecosystem. Everybody which has an interest of the devices, of the laptops and Lenovo, all is invited to submit a price now. In the third and the final step is basically you have to upload an asset list. I'm just gonna find my asset list here. That's a list of Lenovo T14 Gen 2 list. I can add some additional files. I've already have my terms and conditions, my code of conduct and grading explanation as part of the default files which is added. But I can add some photos if that is something that I have, just to make my listing stand out and really be good for the buyers to know exactly what they're buying, and then maybe the price will rise as well. I'm going to set a minimum price, which is 7,800 euros, and then I'm going to do like a listing description, something like just that. That's basically just a teaser so that the people who are seeing the listing invitation, that they can see, it's T14 Gen 2s, there's a list attached, and then I can see it. I'm going to create the listing now. So the system will now go and send out emails or notifications with a link. And with the link, this is actually what the buyers will see. When they click on the link, they will go in here and see all of the information apart from an internal node, apart from the minimum price. There's the terms and condition, there's the code of conduct, there's the grading explanation, and they can click to download the asset list so that they can assess and calculate a price. Once they do that, the price will go in here. Now, I've of course just sent this one out. So I'm just going to go in my current listings and show you an example. So basically we have one right here. And this is basically my overview. So we can see here that we have some deadlines coming up. We can also see the status of some of these listings. Hopefully there's 4 hours until this deadline. It's yellow, so it's close to reaching my target price, and there will definitely be snipe bids later. There's 3 days on this one. We hope that the price will go up. This one, it's actually already above the minimum price. What we want to do is just to check this one out and see how was the the listings, how was the bids. Here you can actually see all of the buyers which have submitted a bid. And as you can see, some tried to get away with a low ball bid, and this is the final price. What I can do, I can accept this one, insert my SO number, sales order number, accept it, and then it will generate an order. Now it's going to split a batch into line by line, serial number based lines, so that we can get that data price wise on each and every serial number. And I'm going to show you how that looks in just a second. Now it's taking a little bit of time, and that's because it has to split all of the serial numbers into line by lines. And a second thing for the line by line serial number is also that we are calculating carbon savings on each model and make with a scope 2 and scope 3 carbon saving, and of course a total as well. So what we've seen here is that this is the buyer. You've probably already noticed that, oh yeah, I couldn't see the buyers in there. So they are anonymous, enabling the compliance. So it's going to be fair competition. Now, I'm just going to show a different order here, just to show how it looks. This is my order overview. So here are all of the orders. Here's the latest one. I can mark if the payment is already received, if the data is already in here. Data, that's the line pricing. So let's go and have a look at this one. What I want to show is that here is actually the different lines with a price and all of the serial numbers. Typically, the ITAD software or ERP system also generates a unique identifier. So we can add that as well, also for the traceability and the audit purpose. So in here, we will see that, okay, here is actually a line price. We know that this serial number is going to the Netherlands, and so on and so forth. This is also part of the audit accessibility. Now, what you also saw in the front end here in the sales orders is that we have our compliance certificate. If I click on it, it would automatically download, and the same with the carbon certificate.
Thank you for giving people a flavor. Let's just put it into perspective. So what we've got is a sales platform. It sits at the back of the ITAD, and it connects to an ecosystem of other people using the platform. It enables the ITAD via its sales team to put listings up, which can be exported from the existing ERP systems. So we're not duplicating systems. We're looking to enhance.
Yeah.
And from that point, we put the listings up to the community, which are in the Novitio world. And as we say, I quite like this, the closed bids scenario as well. As a business owner, there's always a concern that there are preferred buyers, and that enables us to have full transparency that it was the best bid in the market space that won the deal. And all of this is controlled via the Novitio platform. Now, should we just talk about the payment process, if we may? Because when we talked just before Christmas of 2025, that was one piece which I thought was quite neat. The idea of the escrow account being held to deal transaction.
Well, first and foremost, and just to add a little bit of depth to the buyers and the control that the individual seller has, because there a section of Novitio, which is we call it customer relations section. So all your usual buyers, you can add them to the system, invite them to the system. You can validate those that you know already, and you can also blacklist those that you don't want to deal with based on a VAT number. They will never see your listings. Now, of course, we are controlling which companies from which countries that will enter the Novitio platform. All buyers, all users are manually activated by Novitio as a default. And that's because we, of course, abide or we uphold a standard of not allowing any T6 countries to be part of the ecosystem and so on and so forth. So of course, Russia, North Korea, etc., are not part of the platform. But what we can also do is Novitio is actually prepared for a white label solution, and that's going to be a closed ecosystem for each seller. So those will those will be able to invite their own buyer ecosystem and leave out those that they don't want to have. So basically, we have the open ecosystem of Novitio, and then there are also available with a white label solution as well. Now, for the payment, and I'm sorry, I took a little bit of a detour, but for the payment, yes, in the Novitio ecosystem, Novitio offers a payment term which is prepayment via Novitio. So Novitio will handle a prepayment, and sometimes the buyers actually like that part because if they don't know the seller that well and they have to put up front 50k euro, for some companies that's a lot, for some it's not so much, but no matter what, the payment will be with Novitio as a deposit. When the equipment is released, then we can release the equipment, and then there's a safe transaction, so to speak. Now, to be honest, we did not start by creating a payment term called payment via Novitio. That was not the plan. We were just trying to make business efficient. And then
Yeah.
we found out via partners asking, can you do this? Because it's not only the buyers which likes the escrow service, but it's actually also the sellers, because some sellers, they like the competition. They like that there's 50, 100, 200, 300 different buyers which are competing for their equipment. But they don't want to create 300 new buyers in the system, customers in the system.
Yeah.
Some is actually restricted on that matter. So if we offer the prepayment via Novitio, all they will see is that the payment is going to be via Novitio, but they will
Yeah.
still see in the company relations who is actually buying the equipment. The traceability on each serial number is still being, transferred and still being, transparent to the seller. So it's not gonna be Novitio doing trading. We're just handling the payment. All of the traceability is still in the system.
And I think just to draw out, I'm aware of time as well, just to draw out a little bit about the benefit, if we may. And I think it is that transparency and that ownership of the transaction. You know, it is a difficult world out there, and I know lots of people have had bad experiences of the trading side of the ITAD business. And that's
Mhm.
perhaps why they stick to the same type of customers because
Yeah.
there's more confidence and assurance. And this opens up that trading world to new people, new friends,
Yeah.
but insulated using the Novitio platform.
Yeah.
What's
So
the ecosystem, Anders? Just as we finish, what's the take up? How are I know it's a relatively new platform, but how are things progressing?
it's good, but it's still new.
Yeah,
And actually, one of the questions that we receive all the time is, why hasn't this problem been solved before? And the reason is, historically, the secondary IT market are very relationship driven and informal. So salespeople, they've been building strong relationship, buyer networks, and those networks, they work. But the market is also changing. So customers are being more and more demanding in regarding to better ESG transparency, the carbon reporting, a structured compliance documentation. Compliance is being more and more a topic, and which is part of the audit readiness and so on. And and the boards of these ITAD or resellers, they are demanding scalability. You cannot scale a modern ITAD business on a WhatsApp thread or some spreadsheet being sent out in emails. So that's why
yeah,
people are slowly starting to adapt, the Novitio system. And just to be clear, Novitio is not here to replace any relationships. What we want to do is make it more structured. So it can be the same buyers, it's the same seller, the same sales responsible will still do the transactions. Novitio is just saving time and improving price discipline and making a stronger compliance alignment. So, and that's where the compliance certificate comes into effect, the carbon savings certificate comes into effect, and especially the line level pricing is coming into effect now. And for the time saving, if there are any dead on arrival units, typically, formally, we spend a lot of time talking, discussing, maybe sometimes even being a way, some would say this laptop is worth 100 euros. It's part of the total batch of 10,000, and I need a credit note 100 euros. And some would say, no, it's 50 euros, or it's 200 or 300 euros. But in Novitio, with the line level pricing, it's easy. You just find the serial number. You can already see, okay, it was 75 euros. So credit note 75 euros, moving along. No more need of sitting and discussing a single pricing or a discussion. No more discussion. Everything is documented and ready for audit and ready for invoicing, etc., etc.
Brilliant. Now, if anybody wants to find out more about Novitio, where do they go? What's the website?
Novitio.com. There's a lot of information there. There's also how to contact me and my business partner Anders, and then we regularly attend some industry events. There's some ITAD summit coming up in Europe. We've
Nice.
also attended in the US. We're gonna be there in Nice, I believe it is,
Yep.
and also other industry events. But then, of course, if you want to speak with me, then, and if you're curious, then just reach out or reach out to Steve, and he'll make the introduction.
Yeah, very happy to do that. And as aware of time now, I'm going to say thank you so much for the demonstration and for introducing us to the video. I think it's really interesting that people have seen a gap in the channel, if you like, the ITAD channel, which is what we're trying to fill with the platform. I think the transparency and accuracy and the efficiency is clearly going to be of interest to an awful lot of people. Anders, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, and you too.